A dark room, my thoughts, uncertainty, fear, hopelessness, silence. The world on standstill. A stumble, a torch, a flicker of hope. A door, a way out. What does the torch represent to you? To me, the torch represents hope, the strength to go on, the light at the end of the tunnel. But there were times for me where I didn't have the torch, the light, that hope, when most of my time I was trapped in a dark room. The darkness being my thoughts, engulfing me, eating me alive, chipping away at my self-esteem, biting away at my self-worth, attacking my confidence, feasting on my trust, stealing my soul. This started with GCSE stress. Typical, you may think, but it was unbelievably stressful. I started at least having a breakdown every day. After that, I started having lows, periods of time where I'd feel so tired, down, numb, not bothered, unfocused. This led to lack of work. I didn't have the energy to do anything. The lows would start off being around an hour. Then afterwards, I would get a high where I'd feel overly energetic, laughing a lot, fidgety, still unfocused. Though in these times, I wasn't necessarily happy. Just really energetic. But this started to get worse. My lows were now lasting all day. I was having virtually no highs. My energy levels decreased even more. I was so tired all the time. So as soon as I got home, I'd go to sleep and just wake up for dinner. But when I should have been going to bed, I was wide awake. So I went to sleep so late on a daily basis. 1 p.m. was considered a good sleeping time for me. Considering I had to get up at 6:30, most of the time I got 4 hours sleep. In result, I could barely keep my eyes open in class. That basically summed up the whole of my year 11. GCSEs came and went. Let's not talk about those. The summer holidays came and my lows kind of just disappeared. I'm not sure how, but I know being in an environment where I was constantly stressed, low, and breaking down was not good. Soon enough, in the holidays, I started this thing called NCS, which is the National Citizen Service, where we spend a week outdoor doing outdoor activities, a week in a boarding school, and 2 weeks carrying out a charity event. Overall, I loved it. My confidence grew so much. I met some really great people, and some I consider my closest friends. Also, our 2 group mentors. For privacy reasons, I'll call them Lucy and Mike. They really helped me a lot. They were in their early 20s, so they were like an older brother and sister to me, which I'm an only child, so it was nice to get that feeling of having siblings. Though Mike was more like a younger sibling, always jumping around and trying to touch his toes, but he couldn't, so we all used to tease him. And that was our inside joke to our 15 people. It was a really small group. But they are amazing people. I really miss them. One activity that we repeated was circle time. This was in the second week. We all opened up about our struggles, which we were going through or facing. One of the things I opened up was how I felt in year 11. And everyone was so accepting. It felt so good to get this weight off of my chest. Even though it was hard to say, I felt better afterwards, with everyone's support and genuine respect. One of my closest friends at the time I'd met there, let's call her Cassie. Now, Cassie was my best friend. We shared similar interests, and I felt able to express myself, as I did in the group. But at school, I didn't always feel I could do that because I was just so low all the time. But Cassie did introduce me to some of her friends, and we all became friends. I trusted Cassie very strongly. She gave me so much encouragement when I opened up in circle time, but as week 3 came, Cassie stopped attending. Her replies to my messages got very few until they stopped altogether. I was very hurt, confused. Why would she do this? She opened up to me about her struggles too, and I gave her so much encouragement. What hurt me was the most the fact that she knew mine. I felt she knew what I had been through, but still proceeded to cut me off and use me like that. I felt like a scrap piece of metal. That set my lows off again, but a lot worse. I would walk away from my NCS group and isolate myself. And this didn't help because I hadn't not dealt with the things I'd been through in year 11. They were just suppressed. So on top of all this, I was going through all of my emotions from year 11 came back to me on top of that. One day I was really bad. We were in a park and lounging around, and I walked off to this rockery area. But this time I went alone. To get to it, you had to bend down under an arch of some trees. I sat down. Nobody was suspicious because everybody went there all the time. Now there was a drop. It was quite a big drop with quite jagged rocks below. My head was racing. I was shaking. My breathing was sharp and quick. A panic attack started to happen. I looked down, fixated on the drop. I sat close to the edge. I was contemplating on whether to end my life. Though the drop wouldn't have been enough to kill me, one of the jagged rocks might. But I all of a sudden got up and walked away. There were children playing near, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. I don't really remember why I got up all of a sudden. I think my gut told me not to. I'm glad I chose to listen to it. After NCS, that's after when my trust issue started. I would find it hard to trust people. Were they going to use me too? I started looking at some of my friends and think, do they really like me? Are they going to take advantage of my vulnerability and hurt me again, like Cassie did? My self-worth issues started to take form around this time too. Was I worth enough? Surely I wasn't if someone could use me like that. My lows eventually just stopped again too, though I would often have an occasional low thinking about Cassie and how she hurt me. My trust issue stayed too. Around 6 months ago, my lows came back, but worse this time. It hurt so much. I started to feel the pain physically, how my arms felt the pain, how my chest was so tight, and it hurt too. I was bleeding pain. Unexplainable anger and so much fear. My feelings were all over the place. So many emotions of hurt, sadness, despair, confusion. I felt like I was feeling every negative emotion. In contrast to this, I would often feel numb, where all my emotions had got so all over the place, they disappeared, numb. A robot with no program, no purpose. When will I get to go out of this dark room? What was going to happen to me if I stayed? Should I tell someone? Probably, but I don't want to be a burden. Surely I won't be, but what if I get judged? That's just going to make me feel so much worse. Maybe I could tell a couple of friends, hey guys, I've been feeling pretty low, which is an understatement. I'll explain how I feel. I have to do this. What was I scared about? My friends didn't judge me. Instead, they supported me and gave me the validation I needed to help me start to understand my self-worth. I can't forget the major factor of me realizing why I was feeling this way. It was pain, emotional pain. I had not dealt with traumas and things I had been through in the past, also new traumas that were making it a lot worse for me to cope. This was thanks to the one and only Oprah Winfrey and her video called Defining Pain. She is so phenomenal. They taught me that my pain could reduce and I could heal. This felt so liberating. Never before had my feelings been explained so accurately. From this, I could tell I was at rock bottom. I now knew where I was, so I could climb up. But I knew it wasn't going to just happen overnight, and it wouldn't be easy. From then, about 2 months ago, I started to become more vocal about how I was feeling to my friends and family. And from there, I started to get the help that I needed. But I also went to a doctor because my mental health was at a dangerous level. Well, my parents made me go, but I knew I needed to. And I'd like to thank them for that. I was then signed up to a counselling program, and I'm currently on the waiting list, and I'm so excited to get started. Never be afraid to speak up. Being surrounded by my close friends and family helped me to recognise and understand my self-worth. Now, definitely Oprah too. Now I know my worth. Around this time, I discovered my purpose, and that is to help people. I've been told by the people I've helped that I give great advice, and I'll give myself credit for that. I can now say I'm doing better, and yes, I still struggle at times, and it still gets hard, but I always have a great support system. What does self-worth mean to you? For me, self-worth means being comfortable and happy with who I am, who you are, not shy away, scared of judgment. There are always going to be people who judge you, but think about this. The people who judge you are judging themselves more. Those people who put you down are putting themselves down further. What I'm saying is try not to, even though it's so hard, don't pay attention to those people who bring you down. What I'm going to leave you with is, you deserve to get help. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask because it's important that you are heard. You matter. How you feel matters. Every single one of you in this room, you matter. And remember, hold on to your torch. And if you haven't got yours yet, go and find it. You've been a great audience. Thank you for listening.